Well, hello there, Portland, Oregon.
It looks nice out there.
It does look nice.
It's deceiving. Looks are deceiving.
It is. It is terrifying cold. Well, at least for us.
At least for us.
I know, actually, I say that, and then anybody in the Midwest
This is like...
Yeah, they're wearing shorts and tank tops out in there.
Yeah.
But for us, it's cold. We're delicate in the Northwest. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, where we bring you the trending tech topics of the day, fantastic interviews, all kinds of different things for about an hour here, and we're broadcasting live across all of our different platforms. And so I want to say hello to everyone who's tuning in, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, LinkedIn, all the other platforms that we're on, because it's a lot of them. I want to say hello to Keelan, Raymond, Brian, Justin, all different people here who are tuning in right now. That's just on Facebook, and we're across all those other platforms. So drop in your comments, your questions throughout the show, and we will get to those. I'm Greg Nibbler. Let's kind of run down what we've got on the show today. It is a full one. So I'll tell you this. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to be talking to comedian and podcaster, and he was a YouTube sensation, let's say it. Jason Horton, he had a series of videos called Facebook in Real Life. If you remember those, they were hilarious. Actual Facebook interactions in real life, and it's funny. So we're going to be talking to Jason about that, about his new podcast, and several different things. We've got Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief. So here's the thing. I'm here in Portland, Oregon. We're going to be going live to New York to the Museum of Natural History for a T-Rex VR experience with Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief. But that's not all. This I'm excited to say here. So he's going to be joined by Mark A. Norell. Let me give you Mark's title. He is the Division Chair and Macaulay Curator, the Curator in charge of Fossil, Amphibians, Reptiles, and Birds, Division of Paleontology. That's supposed to fit on a business card somehow.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, oh, what have I done with my life? Chris Chin then is also going to be there, the Executive Director of HTC Vive. And later on in the show, we're also going to be joined by Joel Comm, co-host of the Bad Crypto podcast, to talk about the Sirin Labs Finny crypto phone. That's a whole lot of stuff I just unraveled right there. Trust me, it's all going to be really entertaining. So we're really excited to talk to everybody on that list, and that's all going to be during this show. But right now, like I said, I'm Greg, joined by Adrienne Warner. Hello, Adrienne.
Hello. I'm sorry that I don't have a T-Rex or really cool amphibians or...
I know, man. Fossil, amphibians, reptiles, and birds.
That is so cool.
It's pretty awesome.
You said, what have I done with my life?
Yeah,
Clearly
I know.
nothing.
I need to make up a longer title, I think. That's what we need to do. Yes. We need to work on that. But yeah, fossils. I need to figure out how to get fossils in there. All right, well, we've got a lot to cover today. And let's kind of go to our lead topic. So every morning here, we take a look at what's trending. And I saw somebody in one of the chats here, I think it was Jimmy, said, what's trending today? Well, that's what we like to bring you here at Digital Trends. And so at the top of the show, we kind of go through what the trending stories are. The first one I'm going to bring up is this, and it's actually something that's going to be happening tomorrow. But word is coming out now that Congress is set to introduce a bill reinstating net neutrality. It's called Save the Internet Act. This is what's coming out right now, that this bill is going to be introduced tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow.
And essentially to roll back what happened in late 2017 when the Net Neutrality Act was repealed.
Right. So it's supposed to reinstate 2015 era rules that essentially kind of save net neutrality by not letting internet service providers throttle service, reinstating broadband as a telecommunication service, various things that were really key to that before this repeal.
Yeah, basically protecting consumer rights is what the goal of this is. Because right now, essentially what the bill would stop is, the ability of broadband providers to selectively block or throttle websites and services, which technically they have the ability to do right now. They could throttle something, so say, all right, well, I'm on a Comcast service. I'm just using this for example, but say I get internet from Comcast, but I want to subscribe to Netflix. Well, Comcast could say, yeah, we want you to use ours, so we're just going to slow Netflix way down. Or you have to pay a premium in order to get Netflix, and then you start having to pay different things, different prices for different portions of the internet or different services that you subscribe to. That's like the worst case scenario, and that's not something I think that any of us really want.
No, it's kind of taking back essentially or helping consumers protect themselves from those types of situations that we're really actually quite afraid of.
Yeah. Let's see, banned. It would also ban systems of paid prioritization, which ISPs are allowed to choose. So a lot that kind of goes with that. I think this is something that a lot of us have been following along with over the last few years. It's definitely a major issue, I think, for any of us, especially those of you who are watching this show. You're watching this show on the internet right now. It's something that I think is going to affect all of us. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We don't know all the details.
We don't know the details. The text is not out yet. I assume that once they introduce the bill that we will be able to read it online. I don't know how long it will be.
Right. And what the chances are that this actually goes through. We can get into the politics of it, but I think everybody can figure that out on their own. Where that goes, we're just kind of letting you know what is happening. So that's
I guess the Senate also introduced a bill to do a very similar thing in 2017 when the repeal was happening.
And it didn't. It didn't get taken up.
Also, it's being challenged. The whole FCC repeal is being challenged in the D.C. Circuit as well. So this is kind of just like another arm of trying to reinstate net neutrality that the government is taking.
Well, it's definitely an important issue no matter where you stand on this, and I think probably most of us are on the same side. That open and free internet access it's pretty important. I think if you really read into this, and we've got lots of articles at digitaltrends.com that you can take a look at. But yeah, we will see what will happen with this and where it's going to go, but we want to let you know that's what's going on right now. So the word is that is going to be happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is when it's going to get introduced, so that's probably when we'll get to see and read more about what's going on with that. All right, why don't we do our next segment here?
Yes, the Read 'em and Weep segment.
Read 'em and weep. This is where we take a look at some of the comments that have come through across our many different platforms.
We do read them all.
We read them and we respond to them.
That's right.
It may not always be the response that you want or we want, but nonetheless, we do read them. Because it is the internet, it's open. You can say whatever you want.
That's right.
So can we. Not really, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of these as we go through. We usually pick out a few of them. Actually, Jake does this, so this is the first time we see them. John Bellina regarding remembering ENIAC and the women who programmed it. Okay, debugging actually meant not only looking for loose connections, but also finding bugs that got caught in the solenoids when they were opening and closing.
Solenoids.
Andrew, I'm going to let you handle this one. Can you unravel that for us?
Let's see. I'm going to guess that.
I know what the article is about.
You do.
The article is about, a group of women who were some of the first computer programmers who programmed one of the first computers. The rest of it...
I was clearly not one of those.
But you can't explain the history of ENIAC to us? I'm probably not even saying it correctly. All right, we have failed. John, whatever you were doing there...
John Bellina, clearly you have a good grasp of this. Well done.
Yeah, you win. You win. All right, fine. John, thank you, I think, for your comment. All right. So that article, you can check out that at digitaltrends.com. That was one that came through. All right, GCV 980.
On how 5G will change your smartphone and your life in 2019. Now, we've been talking a lot about 5G this past week. So let's see. Conspiracy BS aside, the real issue with 5G is security. All of these connected devices is a damn goldmine for hackers. Imagine someone hacked into your car and caused an accident. 5G is going to be the Wild West.
Okay, I can actually kind of see. We do get a lot of comments about 5G, and there's one of our YouTube videos has, I think it was over like 5,000 or 6,000 different comments on it, and a lot of them are conspiracy theories things. That though is a legitimate concern.
Absolutely, people have already kind of proven that they can hack into smart vehicles and take over the system, essentially the dashboard.
Yep.
So I imagine that this is a real concern. I don't know how privacy is going to be in relation to 5G rollout.
What the security issue is going to be when it comes out. And I think that is something that is a concern. I know there was an issue with, like Huawei is one of the leaders in 5G infrastructure. And there's an issue that the U.S. government had with them coming in because of that, because of the security issue, because they would have access to so many different things. So yeah, that's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
The 5G security. All right.
All right.
GCV 980, thank you for a rational comment on a 5G article. Yeah, good point. All right, Jessica Freiwald Watt, regarding sleep like you're in the Shire with these pre-made Hobbit homes.
I've seen that one.
Yes. Very nice, although they're really not complete without a round door, just saying.
That's a great point.
It is.
No round door, no Hobbit home.
Yeah. I think these things look kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are pretty cool. I mean, I kind of want to live like underground.
Live in a hobbit home?
Fun hobbit home
Yeah.
sound. Yeah, it seems efficient.
Right.
It seems cute.
Yeah. It's cool. You can
cool.
decorate it. Yeah. All right, Jessica. I agree though. Yeah, a round door would be a necessity if you're gonna do it. If you're gonna go full hobbit.
If you're gonna go full hobbit,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I think you need to have the round door. I mean,
And then
really
you gotta
go
wear.
for it.
Then you gotta not wear shoes.
Oh yeah, that would be a problem. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not set out to be a hobbit. I mean, I'm probably the right height for it, but I don't think I really want to go for that.
Wear jaunty vests a lot.
Jaunty vest. Have you seen my jaunty vest collection? All right, Jam and Jules. Nice name. All right. Regarding these machines can shred an entire car in minutes. Autobots, cover your eyes. Solid comment also, Jam and Jules. I have seen, this video is one of the ones that I think it's airing on our Facebook, and we've got it airing up in a few different places, but just kind of explaining this giant shredder where you can shove an entire car in it and just parts it out in seconds. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I can see why Autobots would not want
Oh
to
yeah,
be
no, I
around
don't
that
think
one.
they'd want that.
Yeah. I'm seeing some of the comments that are coming through now about my Hobbit comment, and I'm not appreciating those.
Oh no.
All right. We got this one here, Heather Biagianti.
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 Sure.
Did you like this?
Regarding Amazon has stopped selling its press to order dash buttons. These are real? People actually used the dash buttons? Honestly, I've never used a dash button in my life.
I have not used one. I don't know if I know anybody that did have one. I did get the wand when it came out, which you're supposed to be able to scan like UPS codes and then order something.
You have that?
Yeah, I did. I ordered it, and then I think I opened it once, and then I've never used it since.
I would oh man, I think that's scary because then you just go around scanning
Bing,
a bunch
I want
of things.
this, I want
Beep,
this, I
boop,
want this.
Beep, boop. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it all shows up at your house. I think that's probably
Exactly.
why I put it back in, because I didn't want to have that kind of power in my hands. It's bad enough as it is. All right, well, thank you very much for the comments as those do come through, and I want to say hello to LinkedIn Live. I'm seeing several people commenting on there. Ibrahim, Abdul, Rodrigo, thank you for joining us. If you have comments and questions, let us know as we go throughout the show. All right, let's get to one other, well, we've got a few other things to get to. But let's talk about something that has been trending that I feel we're not going to go too in depth with this, but we're going to give a little bit of an explainer on this. So you have a little more knowledge. Adrian and I are experts when it comes to this. And so we have
Top leaders in this.
top leaders when it comes to digital trends, when it comes to USB technology. So you may have seen this trending, and it's talking about USB 4 is coming and talking about how it will have Thunderbolt 3 speeds. Thought about just giving a little bit of an explainer on what this means.
Yes. So what I found out is that USB 4 does not is relation to the speed. It will still be in the USB-C infrastructure.
Yes.
So your port will actually not change, even though USB 4 will be rolling out.
Correct. Yeah. So the USB, if you hear USB A, B, C, and those different words, yeah, there we go. So that's from laptop. That's referring to the actual connection type, and everything is pretty much moving to Type C, which is the universal one, where finally it just makes sense. You don't have to have it. You can put it in upside down or straight up. Either way.
Never do this again.
Yeah, exactly. That where you're shoving
just,
it in the wrong way. So USB-C, that's what that's referring to. USB 4 has to do with the speeds. USB 3.2 is what's rolling out right now. That is the most current version, and that's still rolling out. But what that would essentially do is give you 20 gigabytes per second of transfer rate, which is huge.
Which is huge. And it sounds like USB 4 will up that to 40 gigabits per second.
And we're still a little ways away from USB 4. So if you see the term USB 4 trending, that's actually not going to be coming out till next year or maybe even the year after before that actually rolls out to us. But the technology has been announced right now. So that is available because Intel is actually giving it out for free. And Intel is the one, it's built on Intel's Thunderbolt protocol, and they're sharing it among the other USB promoter groups, which are Apple, Microsoft, HP, the different manufacturers. So the technology is going to be used by all of these companies. It's going to eventually, what it's going to mean for you is that we're going to have really, really fast transfer rates, up to 40 gigabytes per second, which is very fast, especially if you think about transferring things off of a hard drive and back on.
Absolutely. That's just going to, it's just going to be a more accessibility to data, essentially. It's improving the speeds, and it will essentially, it's another thing that will improve your life.
Yes, there we go. So there, just a little basic definition on USB 4. You can read all about it at digitaltrends.com, though. We've got extensive articles there that go in depth on this and explain it more, but we just want to give you just a basic, peripheral overview of what that means if you see that term trending right now. Let's go on to some other interesting articles that are out right now. So,
yes, from small to very big.
Yes, big. We're talking about the Geneva Auto Show, which is happening right now. So the Geneva Auto Show is going on, and as part of this, you get to see a lot of concept vehicles that come out. And there's something that Goodyear does, I believe every year they have this, where they introduce a new concept.
Yes.
And this year, they've introduced the Aero Flying Tire.
Yep, so they're introducing a concept tire, which may not seem revolutionary until you learn about what it does. It's essentially something that is supposed to go from ground to air, as you can see in the video that's playing.
Yeah, and this is, it's going to be obviously in the future, but they're anticipating a world where you can drive and then the vehicle will automatically fly as well. So the way this tire works, it's both a propeller and a tire. And they've got a very elaborate video that they came up with this, kind of showcasing how it would work, talking about, mobility is in constant change. The idea, though, clearly this is a long, long ways out if something like this would ever actually be made. But again, we're talking about concepts. And I think the concept of it is pretty cool.
Concept is super cool.
Who doesn't want a flying car?
Literally everybody.
Everybody wants a flying car. That's what we were promised in tech. We were promised flying cars by nobody, but still, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm owed one. And so this thing is called the Aero. And as you can see in the video, so they said that it's designed for a number of innovative features. The multimodal design is one of the main things.
Another feature is that it provides frictionless operation, which means that it reduces the energy needed to drive the wheel in both modes. So it'll take less energy to drive on the ground and fly in the air.
That's interesting. Okay. They've got magnetic propulsion. So the concept would use magnetic force to provide frictionless propulsion that would enable high rotating speeds required to drive the vehicle on the ground, and when the wheel is tilted, lift the vehicle into the air and propel it forward. Again,
awesome.
Super cool. Yeah, who wouldn't want that? I'm seeing some comments come through. George says, I've seen that tire concept for years in anime. Took them this long to make a CG commercial.
That's very fair.
You got a point, George. You got a point. Brian says, great, one pebble gets stuck in your tire and your propeller becomes destructively imbalanced. All right, another point. Fine.
Maybe in the
Shooting
future there are no pebbles.
They've eliminated the pebbles. That's part of what the future will have. They also said that it would have an embedded AI processor that would combine information from the tire's sensors with data from vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to infrastructure communication, talking about that 5G type of communication. And basically the idea, what part of the video that they showed is you can drive along and then just, hop up to the top of the tower to your little docking station and be right there. I am all for this.
Yeah, sign me up.
I'm on one. I'm ready for my flying car right now.
Absolutely.
We're owed flying cars. I think we can all agree that. By no one.
Can just imagine how much it will cost to replace one of those tires.
Oh, it's going to be expensive. Oh, and then you'll have to replace all four, too.
And Vicky Dunn says, isn't that what Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car did?
I think maybe it did kind of. So they're actually stealing tech from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Hey,
Also, kudos for a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang anime. That they're making things that have happened in cinema for a long, long time come to reality.
There it is. All right. Well, that's kind of the trending story for Goodyear. That's from the Geneva Auto Show. Something else that's trending is something made of nightmares. And I'm talking about a new robot that looks like a cheetah. So this is coming from MIT. We've all seen the Boston Dynamics robots. This is an MIT one that's definitely along the same lines, and it is a back-flipping mini cheetah robot that, as I was saying, destined for a episode of Black Mirror. It's destined. It's going to be an episode of Black Mirror. So what this is the idea behind this is this cheetah can...
Oh, Lord.
Yes, it can run along up to 2.45 miles per hour.
That's not as fast as a cheetah now.
Not as fast as a cheetah.
I don't think they should call this thing the cheetah, because don't cheetahs get up to top speeds of 60 or 70 miles per hour?
They do, but I mean, this thing's just ramping up because it can do more than this. And it's showing us what it can do right now. It's not going to show us the entire thing. Yeah, so it's independent translation and rotation, but the back flipping ability and the ability to keep itself from being knocked over is the key components of this,
Right.
of where they're looking at this. And the idea is that eventually, can leap and gallop through rough terrain, climb up staircases, littered with debris. It could help, in rescue situations, get places where people can't. And there's a person trying to kick the robot over.
At least they're kicking it a little less forcefully this time.
Yeah, but still, look how easy it got back up.
Wow.
Eventually, that
incredible.
robot's going to be mad about that. So, just showing the different mobility though, and how this thing can just do all of these different functions at the same time. That is both very, very cool, and like I said, both and kind of terrifying.
At least it doesn't have a head.
It doesn't have a head yet.
Yet.
But I think maybe if it had a head, actually, it may be less terrifying, or would that make it more, because then it could turn around and look you in the eyes with its soulless robot eyes. Yeah, something to think about.
I just don't really want to picture it either way.
Yeah, something to think about. Well, that's something that MIT is working on, and again, that's called the Mini Cheetah, which means they do have a bigger version. So this is the 20-pound version. There's a 100-pound version, although I don't believe the 100-pound version can do the backflipping yet.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I imagine that. Yeah, I imagine that it's going to be trying to carry different loads of cargo. So the bigger one obviously can carry bigger stuff.
I would certainly think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, to where it would be able to. I mean, the real application, if it is for rescue situations and things like that, that's definitely something very, very cool.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what that robot does after the rescue.
Right, and I think it's also just us getting used to this concept, because we've seen a lot of sci-fi movies. If you watch Black Mirror, I mean, it looks like the robot dogs, and so I think it's just instinctively we're like, I don't know, I don't trust it.
It's the creepy factor.
It's the creepy factor, but I think that's something that we have to get used to. As long as I get my flying car, I'm okay with the cheetah robots.
Then you can escape the cheetah robots.
Escape it, yeah, until it can fly too. Well, all things to think about. We've got a lot more, though, on today's show. Adrian, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy
Absolutely.
Tuesday.
Yep, it is Tuesday, isn't it? And happy Tuesday to everybody out there who's watching. So we've got lots coming up. We're broadcasting live across all these different channels. I see all the comments coming in. Really do appreciate that. And coming up in just a little bit, we're going to be heading to New York with Jeremy Kaplan, who is our editor-in-chief, who's going to be on location at the Natural History Museum for a very cool VR experiment. But before we do that, coming up next, we've got Jason Horton, who's going to join us. We're going to talk about his Facebook in Real Life YouTube series, talk about his comedy, talk about his new podcast, all kinds of things, all while broadcasting live across our different platforms. Drop in your comments and questions, and we'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. We're broadcasting across all of our different platforms, which means we can take your comments and questions as we go through the show. We start this every day at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and right now, I am very excited to bring on our next guest. He is a comedian, an actor, a co-host of the Ghost Town podcast, and also the Friends Without Benefits podcast. It is Jason Horton. Hello, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I'm not sure. Are we getting a little bit of an echo coming through? Can you hear me? I just want to clarify that just for anybody.
Yeah, let me put some headphones on.
Okay. All right. Okay. See, this is part of it for everybody who's watching. We broadcast live, so sometimes these things happen because it's the world.
Yeah.
There we go. There it is. Okay.
Is that better?
Yes. Sorry, I was hearing myself saying it back to myself, and so it was just throwing me for a loop. All right. So, Jason, thank you for joining us. So, I wanted to talk to you about a number of different things about what you're doing. But this Facebook in real life, in particular, since we're a tech site, we talk about social media a lot. Where did the concept for that series come from?
I think the fact that how much I love Facebook and how much I don't love Facebook was so strong that I was like, let me put these things together in a way that I think people would find relatable. Because as your job is you make content, you want people to watch it. That's a hope. And
right.
in real life, it's just people just want to see something relatable. And when you hear it in real life and you hear Facebook, you're like, yeah, I'll check this video out. So and people seem to have resonated with it.
I mean, I agree completely because especially some of the concepts that you had coming out through this. I think we'll play a clip of it actually here in just a second. But I mean, I'm one of those people as well. Like I love Facebook and at the same time, I hate Facebook, and people's posts will drive me crazy. I hate the you know who you are kind of posts, which drive me absolutely nuts, and yet I will always read those people's posts because no matter what, I'll be like, all right, well, let's see what's going on the crazy train right now, because I'll go check them out. But that's I think something that we all kind of relate to when it comes down to Facebook. Why don't we go ahead and play just the clip really quick, and then we'll come back and talk about that, and then talk about comedy and everything else going forward. Cool.
Next month, but you got to go to my housewarming party, man. It's going to be off the chain.
Absolutely, I'm there.
Great, man. It's going to be about 9:30.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio. See you there.
What?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
But that's like 2,000 miles from here.
You're not going to come to my party?
I'm going to buy like a $400 plane ticket?
Dude, it's so easy. It's 9:30. Come on.
Yeah, I get the 9:30 part. I get.
Well, then show up, dude. What do you got to lose?
Like $1,000.
Yeah. Just that idea of what people would actually say in person. Do you use Facebook a lot right now?
I have a thing where, I do because, especially with podcasting, there's a lot of really great communities out there that I want to connect with. But I always feel guilty every time that I engage. I feel like I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
When somebody has like a vague post, like, well, that happened.
Right.
And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, I don't want to talk
about it.
You know
who you are.
You're posting on the World Wide Web. So if people are responding to it and then you're like, I don't want to talk about it, that really drives me crazy. So yeah, it's a real love-hate thing, like you said.
Is that your biggest social media pet peeve?
The vague, yeah, I mean that's definitely, I think that's definitely one of them because as time goes on, no one has seen. There's no self-awareness of it because people continue to do it. But you got to think like if you're going to pick a social media platform that everyone's on, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. I don't know how many 13-year-olds are on it or kids are on it, but I'm sure. But in a really broad way, everyone is on it. So you're forced to be a part of it. And I want to see pictures of my family in New York and stuff. So I have to be on it, I guess, if I want to see my family.
Right. What other social media platforms do you use that you like?
I love Instagram for photos. I love Twitter for communication. I have a pretty big LinkedIn. I'm not trying to brag, but it is a humble brag. I'm pretty huge on LinkedIn, pretty famous on LinkedIn. I know it sounds like, yeah, sure, but I am. I'm huge on LinkedIn.
Nice.
So,
well, we're actually broadcasting on LinkedIn Live right now. So this is
What's
a
up to
huge
all my
bonus.
LinkedIn people? I love my LinkedIn heads. I don't know.
Is that the right term for it? Linked heads?
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate LinkedIn Live too. All right, let's talk about your podcasts. So let's talk about Friends Without Benefits. What's the concept behind that and how that all came together?
I've been performing comedy and especially improv for like the last 14 years. So I think I have the ability to have a conversation with somebody without knowing much about them or knowing a lot about them.
Right.
And I love talking to people and finding out what makes them successful, maybe kind of off the beaten path. So that's what it is. And it's just people that I'm friends with, and there's no benefits aside from the friendship. I don't know. That's how I came up with the name. But there's so many interesting people out there, and I feel like I want to find out more about them on the spot, or if I thought I knew a lot about them, I always find out there's more than meets the eye when I talk to them. So
Do you
yeah.
record a lot of them when you're out on the road?
No, mostly I would do that in studio.
Okay.
Yeah, with friends without benefits. Yeah, it's I need a controlled environment, and I feel like for some reason, you talk to somebody at a party, they don't want to open up, but you put a microphone on them, and they're potentially being heard by hundreds of thousands of people. They will open up. It's really, really interesting, I guess, from a psychological point of view. They'll say things that I'm like, wow, I would have never gotten that from you if we were like not that I go to many parties. I know it looks like I probably go to a party every single day, but
I didn't want to say anything,
I
but
don't. So
yeah.
I know. I mean, I give off that look. I get
It's the persona, yeah. But I mean, that's part of your bad boy persona that you're carrying around right now.
Yeah.
So how often are you on the road with comedy?
Well, I've been performing around Los Angeles doing stand-up, and I was performing in Europe, a couple of dates in Europe, and then I'm going to do I'm going to be in New Orleans. So yeah, it's just kind of here and there. And then my podcast, Ghost Town, we are starting a tour on that. So that's going to be kind of another avenue of live performance, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, let's talk about Ghost Town because that's definitely interesting to me.
That's the thing that's got me the most.
That's what you're most jazzed about. Well,
Yeah.
How does one go from comedy into talking about ghosts? And what's your experience with this? What made you want to start a show called Ghost Town? Let's get the whole backstory.
I have myself and my co-host Rebecca. We're both comedians. We've been writing and performing together for 10 years. She's gives haunted tours in Los Angeles. She knows a lot about haunted stuff. I'm really into abandoned places and mysterious places. So we love talking about that. So we're like, well, we love talking about that. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We take the subject though seriously. So we kind of put that together. And it's really resonated with people because people that are into things like true crime or abandoned, haunted, mysterious, historically relevant, there's such a vibrant community out there. And I learned a lot from doing a couple of podcasts before. So I felt like when I started this one, I like best feet forward on that. And we're just so enthusiastic about it. And frankly, people love talking about haunted, abandoned, true crime, urban exploration. So it made a lot of sense, and it's been people have been really responding really well. It's been super successful, by my standards, anyway.
Where have you gone so far? Do you go on location to record these abandoned buildings?
We did. I mean, I was in Europe, so I did a bunch of things when I was in Europe, like the Berlin Wall, and in Los Angeles, there are, I mean, weird true crime. The dark side of Los Angeles is abundant here, so it's very easy for us. But we did record a 3-episode special in the hotel room that Janis Joplin died in.
Oh wow!
So we had a medium come in. Yeah, so we're going to do more of that. As well as our live shows, but there's so many great things out there. It's just hard to pick, and we're gonna cover as many as we can.
So you do full on bring in a medium style stuff.
Yeah, if we can, yeah, that's I think it makes the most sense. We want to do more of that, and that's not my world necessarily. I'm a bit of a skeptic, but I think it's super interesting, and I try to keep an open mind when I can.
I mean, have you seen a ghost?
I have not seen a ghost, but I've had some real. In fact, in that hotel room, which I said I'm a skeptic, we were setting up to because we were doing at a medium, we were recording, and then we were having musicians come to play Janis's music, and I just started feeling really sick, and it was kind of crawling out of my skin, and I ended up in the bathroom, and the medium was like, "Oh, the bathroom is where people are drawn to in this room." It was really, really strange because I was just like. Yeah, it really, really freaked me out. I was expecting that I was just going to be like, this doesn't really affect me, but apparently it did.
Weird. So, well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely inherently creepy if that's where Janis Joplin died.
Yeah.
In a hotel room.
Yeah.
Where's the one place that is there one place that's a dream spot you would like to go for an abandoned building?
Absolutely. Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember when, the Chernobyl, what happened with Chernobyl, when I was a kid in school, and I was like, this is really amazing. And I feel like that is also the hub. Also, my wife's family is from Russia, so it's kind of makes it even more. I don't know. I feel a little bit closer to it. So
right.
And I think you can go there now. So that's kind of that's one of my dream. It's probably my top dream. I'm more into like abandoned places, historically relevant, mysterious places than the haunted stuff, which I also love. So yeah, I would say Chernobyl. So if anyone's out there, get on our Patreon
Yeah.
and help us get to Chernobyl.
I will watch anything that's on Chernobyl. Yeah, I agree. It is fascinating.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
I would recommend one place for an abandoned building, the Buckner Building, which is outside of Anchorage, Alaska. It's about an hour outside of there.
Ooh.
It used to be this army barracks. The only way you can get in there is through this one tunnel, and I think it housed like 20,000 people or something at one point. I could be wrong on that, but a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's abandoned now. You're not supposed to go in there, but that would probably be a perfect one for what you're doing. Just look
The
up
fact that
Buckner
it's in
Building.
Alaska is already interesting. You know what I mean? That on top of that, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Well, Ghost Town, where can people find Ghost Town?
You can find Ghost Town on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can check out our Instagram, which is Ghost Town Pod. And we're doing our first live show at the Dynasty Typewriter Theater here in Los Angeles on April 25th at 10 p.m. You can check out our Instagram or go to dynastytypewriter.com. And we're very excited about that. And we're hopefully going to be announcing our next show at that show. Might be New York. Don't know. We're figuring that out now with our representation and bookers and stuff like that.
Nice. And Jason, what's the best place for people to follow you?
I mean, obviously LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've
But
established you are a LinkedIn star.
We've established. Yeah, but you could say hello to me on Twitter, Jason_Horton, or Instagram, the Jason Horton.
Fantastic. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today, and really looking forward to checking out Ghost Town and seeing where you guys go
Appreciate
next, especially the Janis Joplin one now. I've got to listen to that.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot, Jason. All right, and thanks everybody who's tuning in live right now to Digital Trends. And we mentioned LinkedIn a few times. We are on LinkedIn Live, and we're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, all of these different platforms where we can take your comments and questions. And what's going to happen now is we're going to take a quick break, and I believe we're actually going to go to our guest, Joel Comm, who is one of the co-hosts of the Bad Crypto podcast. So that's coming up. We're going to talk about a new phone that is specifically designed for the blockchain era. So a blockchain phone, cryptocurrency, it's all designed for this, extreme security. He's going to kind of walk us through what that means, and all that's going to be happening here while we broadcast live. So let's take a quick break. Back here in a second with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you tech headlines, interviews, and all kinds of things while broadcasting live across our many different platforms. So thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button wherever you are. If you have comments and questions, drop those in there. We'll absolutely get to those as we go through the show. Coming up here in mere moments, we're going to be joined by Joel Comm, who is the co-host of the Bad Crypto podcast, and we're going to be heading to New York with Jeremy Kaplan, where he's going to be experiencing a T-Rex VR experience of some kind, and he's going to be walking us through that, which I'm excited and also jealous to see that because I kind of want to do that myself. Before we do that, though, let's hit one more tech headline that we didn't get a chance to get to earlier today as we were walking through some of those, and this is just one I wanted to bring up, especially since we were talking about robots, and I didn't get a chance to get to this, and it's something that's happening in South Korea, where they are building a world-class robot museum that will be built by robots. Yes, built by robots. So this is happening in Seoul, South Korea. And take a look there. So they're going to actually try to keep humans out of the building process of this as much as possible. So it's an 8,000 plus square foot spherical building that's intended to, in the words of the local government, support public education in robots and raise awareness of artificial intelligence. I do have to say the photoshopping there could probably be updated a little bit for what they did for their spec shots of that. Maybe they could have used some more robots for that. I think that probably would have helped out. But it's being built by a company called the Malik Antonisk Architects. So it's a Turkish architecture firm. And a couple of the key things that they're doing with this. So one, there will be some human involvement, but much of it's going to be centered around the robots. The other thing is they've got one team of robots that will be used to assemble the museum's curved metal facade, as we saw there. And that includes molding, assembling, welding, and polishing the metal plates that will be used in the exterior. I think if you have any fear of robots, I mean, yeah, we should trust them to be able to do that on their own. But at the same time, if they want to build, somewhere to capture a whole bunch of humans, this seems like the right way to do it. Another team of robots is going to 3D print concrete elements for their surrounding landscape, and drones will actually be used to carry out the building inspections. So they're going to have drones that will fly up, do all the building inspections. So essentially, we've got to trust these robots to build a building that we've got to walk into that's a monument to the robots. This seems like it's a sci-fi movie. This is how it all starts, I think. This is going to be their homage to themselves, and then they realize they can do this without humans. That's the worry for me when it comes down to this. So that is the Robot Science Museum, and that's going to be built in Seoul, South Korea. So you can check that out, digitaltrends.com. We've got a whole article about it. All right. We are broadcasting live across all of our different platforms right now, which means we can bring people in from wherever they are, and we're very excited for our next guest. He's a New York Times best-selling author and, among many other things, an expert in cryptocurrency and blockchain. We've got Joel Comm on the line right now. Hello, Joel.
Hey, what's happening, my friend?
Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. The robots are going to kill us all.
I know, right? It's like I like the robots, but then at the same time, I fear the robots.
Dude, I saw the guy that made that our AI, the Singularity one, the robot they got going on.
Yes.
And I watched the scientist give a presentation, and he looks just like the guy you would expect in the movie with the glasses and the hippie and the long hair. And I'm thinking, dude, you're the first one she's going to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he thinks he's doing something great for humanity, but then, yeah, that's exactly who it will turn on. And then from there, take over the world. So thanks, guy. All right, let's talk about cryptocurrency. In particular, one thing we wanted to talk about today is just how different devices are adapting to blockchain, cryptocurrency, and where we can see that. Because I think we're all becoming familiar with some of the things that blockchain and cryptocurrency can do when it comes to like payments and secure transfer. But how does this transfer into actual physical items?
Right. Well, I mean, we've got the Finney Labs, the Siren Labs Finney phone that we've got now. And this is a secure blockchain wallet on a phone, right? One of the biggest problems with crypto is security. We always hear the sensational stories about people being hacked and their crypto being stolen. And we need devices that are going to make people feel secure with their crypto before mainstream adoption can happen.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because we hear more and more, and I've seen comments from a lot of people where you hear it's like, oh well, there's a problem. Well, crypto will solve that, or Bitcoin can solve that. And yeah, in theory maybe it can, but it's not really necessarily an overall just okay. Well, we'll just put crypto there. That'll do it. Security is such a huge issue. It's like saying everything has AI in it. Well, no, everything doesn't have AI
You got
in
a
it.
rash? Crypto can solve it.
Yeah, crypto. Just get yourself a dose of crypto. How does this phone work to solve some of those issues?
Well, it's all encryption and security, right?
Yeah.
Without getting highly technical on it, because I'm not that smart. I just know that the platforms that we've got are not secure. We see that iOS devices and we see Android devices, and we find security holes in them, like the thing that just happened with the Apple's FaceTime bug, right?
Yep.
Where you could listen in on a conversation that never even begins. And the encryption on these the Siren Labs phones is supposed to be top notch, that you can store your crypto on it and ain't nobody going to hack your phone.
Yeah, which is security is such a huge issue when it comes down to that. So I mean, is there something particular about? And I know you're not an expert on this phone any more than I am, but it's an interesting phone that's come out. Is there anything in particular that you can see on this that would be able to be transferable to other devices? I guess maybe the idea of this.
Well, certainly once the technology is demonstrated, I guarantee you that Apple, is working on their own version of a secure crypto wallet. I've not read any stories about it. Nobody's told me that, but of course they're working on it. We know now that Facebook is working on, their own cryptocurrency. Tell me that they're also not looking at creating their own phones and devices. I think that it's just a matter of time. It's going to be just like the web was. I got started in 1995 online. There was just a few thousand websites at that time. And I remember in the early years, I remember way back then, and they were saying, oh, this guy's selling books out of his garage. That'll never work. People won't ever want to buy online. And, fast forward now, 2 decades later, it's ubiquitous. It's all we do. 10 years ago or so, the first smartphone came out. Now we all carry them. Blockchain and crypto are going to be just like that. It's going to get adopted. It's going to seem like it's happened overnight when we finally reach that tipping point, and you're all going to have blockchain phones.
What do you think is that tipping point for mass adoption of understanding, cryptocurrency and blockchain, just those concepts in general? What needs to happen for everybody to get it?
We keep referring to it as the Netscape watershed moment, right? Because it was the Netscape browser that finally made it easy for the masses to surf the web and to go to websites. It's a little trickier. I think it's going to have to be a adoption type thing. I don't think it's going to come from the Bitcoin ETFs or the big financial institutions. I think it's going to be somebody in the mainstream, whether it's Amazon starts accepting crypto, or everybody's Android phone can now store crypto. It's going to be something that's a mainstream type of application, and people are going to be like, wait, I don't want to miss out on this. FOMO is going to be hit us hard, and everybody's going to want to play, and all of a sudden we're going to see everybody talking crypto.
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, what's some of the big ones, if Apple or Amazon or somebody like that, Google, fully adopts that, incorporates it in, because their reach is so huge, and people just, whether they should or not, they inherently trust, in a way, those companies. So they would probably go with it and have that, increase that adoption. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrency, a couple of questions for you on that. There's so many different ones that are popping up. I mean, you mentioned Facebook is working on creating their own cryptocurrency. Do you see that trend continuing, or are we going to see some contraction on that to where we just have, 2 or 3 big ones, or is everybody going to come up with their own cryptocurrency?
It's really interesting, because I've talked to people that say they're one crypto to rule them all. There could only be one. And then I've heard others say there's going to be 1 million different tokens. And I'm probably somewhere in the middle, which is a really safe bet. But I think we're just beginning to discover the applications for cryptocurrency. I mean, once upon a time, somebody, I don't know, was quoted as saying the world will never need more than 2 computers, right? And now there's billions of them. I own 8 or 9 of them myself, just in my home right here. And so I think that as we discover more applications, it's likely that in terms of payments, Bitcoin is going to continue to have the dominance and probably become more a store of wealth, because we're seeing faster and faster blockchains. I don't want to wait 10, 20 minutes for my Bitcoin, but I sure feel good hodling some of it. When I can get Litecoin in 4 times the speed, or Stellar Lumens, instant, payment transfers. But it's going to be interesting to watch this develop. I just know it's a great space, and I love being part of it.
What do you think are some of the trends that we can see this year? By the end of this year, where do you see it going?
I think that we're finally going to see approved ETFs. I think we're going to see the next wave of the sensation begin to hit, because typically a year before the halving of Bitcoin is when it starts to pick up momentum again. Well, that happens next May or June. So that means if we hold true to what's happened the last 4 or 5 times, that late spring, early summer, we should start to see excitement around the Bitcoin space again.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not realize that. So that's definitely something to look forward to on that. What other, as far as payments, direct payments, do you see more retailers? I know we've talked about before, like some retailers have started being able to take, Bitcoin or some kind of cryptocurrency. Do you see that being adopted more throughout this year? Or is that something that's still a little ways out before we start seeing those?
I think, coinpayments.net makes it super easy. They've got, well over 1,000 merchants that now accept crypto, 80 different flavors of crypto. And they've made it simple, easy for any online merchant to accept these cryptocurrencies with a simple plugin on their website. So I think, a lot of people don't know that they can add crypto to their Shopify or Mercado, store, and they can do it for, almost for free, because Visa and MasterCard are taking 3-4%. And if you put coin payments on your site, you're just paying this tiny little fraction, to have that transaction. And I think more merchants, once they realize that, wait, I can take crypto and not have to fork over percents to the big banks, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point right there. For somebody, like, say for people who are watching right now, who haven't gotten into crypto or don't own any coins, what is the first step they should do if they want to get involved in it? Like, how do you decide where you want to go, what you want to invest in?
Well, obviously, they should listen to the Bad Crypto podcast.
There we go. Set it up.
And legit plug. And then, I feel like learning is important. Of course, Coinbase has kind of been the gateway exchange drug of choice, because they really do make it easy to purchase your first Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin. But learn a little bit about what you're doing. Understand at least the basics of how blockchain works. Otherwise, you're just going to be throwing something money at that you don't really understand. Now, I don't need to understand at this point how this chip on my credit card works. I just know that it does. But, crypto is still so speculative at this point that I think having some understanding of what you're investing in is probably a good idea.
I think that's a great idea, and I think your suggestion of listening to the Bad Crypto podcast is also a great idea. What's the best place for people to, other than normal podcast outlets, should they go to the website? Where would you want to direct people?
Yeah, badcryptopodcast.com. And of course, you're free to visit my blog or find me anywhere on the socials as well, joelcom.com.
Joelcom.com. That is a great website already, I can just tell you. That just sounds awesome. Well, Joel, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this. Hope to have you back on the show another time to kind of unwrap this as we find out more and more during this year about where crypto is going to go.
Would love to. Thanks a lot.
All
Stay
right.
bad.
Thanks, Joel. All right, and thanks everybody for tuning in. So we just got a little bit of an education there on cryptocurrency, and that was a great suggestion. Go to thebadcryptopodcast.com to learn more. We've got more Digital Trends Live left for you, though. We are going to be going to New York, so we're going to be joined by Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, and I believe that's happening. I want to make sure with my producers, are we taking a break or are we going straight over there? We'll take a quick break. Okay. We're going to take a quick break and so that we can get all set up. And we're going to be going live to I believe, the National History Museum. Let me pull this up and just make sure I'm right. Since we are live, things change up in our timeline. And I just want to make sure that I have everything. The Museum of Natural History is where we're going to be going. We're going to be joined by Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, for the T-Rex VR experience. And he's got Chris Chin, the executive director of HTC Vive, and Mark A. Norrell. They're both going to be there. So we're going to be talking about that all live right here, broadcasting across the different platforms. Let's take a quick break. Back in a second with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is such a fun show because no matter every episode, we do something different. We can go on location, we can go anywhere, really in the world, and that's what we're going to be doing here in just a minute. So I'm Greg Nibbler, and I'm really excited because we're going to be heading to the Museum of Natural History, where we're going to be joined by Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, who's going to be talking to Chris Chin and Mark A. Norell. So why don't we go ahead and get headed over there right now. This is for the T-Rex VR experience. And something really exciting that's happening there in New York. Hello, Jeremy.
And we've saved the best for last for you. We are coming to you live from the American Museum of Natural History at the brand new T-Rex, the Ultimate Predator exhibit. We're here with some fantastic guests. This is Mark Norell, the curator of the entire exhibit. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we have Chris Chin from HTC, who's helped build one of the most fantastic things you'll see here, a virtual reality exhibit where you can actually put together a skeleton of T-Rex and see it come to life. I won't give you away the ending. The ending is very cool, but it is a neat experience. Can you tell us how technology has really been shaping some of the experiences you as a curator put together in a museum these days?
Yeah, well, it's been shaping in a lot of different ways, all the way from what we have here, the VR experience, to the amount of sort of scanning that we do these days. So rather than making physical casts anymore, we have high-resolution scanners now that we can then 3D print things, which puts the specimens in a lot less danger and everything else, and allows us to be able to transport things over the web to people all around the world if they want to have casts of these things.
So the experience of being an archaeologist has definitely been transformed.
Oh, yeah, it has. I mean, even that, you look at the stuff we use in the field, in the desert these days and things, and that it's real space age compared to where we were at 20 years ago. So
We all think about Indiana Jones, of course, but it's no longer like that. There's a whole bunch of technology out there.
Yeah, we have everything from LiDAR to flying a lot of drones to some very sophisticated satellite imagery that we use quite a bit. And then there's also really mundane things like the types of adhesives and glues that we use to put these things back together when we're in the desert is really, really different than even a decade ago what we were using.
And if I can ask you real briefly, so this exhibit is about looking at T-Rex itself and some of the recent developments that we've learned, right?
Right.
The fact that there's feathers, the fact that it looks a lot different than people are expecting, right?
Right. It really is, but it's more than that. It's also just about the biology of Tyrannosaurus in general. And, Tyrannosaurus rex is really an anomaly, whereas its close relatives, some of the ones which are just right out here and stuff, look much more like traditional dinosaurs. So it's just that how did a creature like this big, this fantastic evolve, and what are the basic stages that it went through on the way to being what it is?
And there's a recreation right over here, over our shoulders, of what a younger T-Rex looks like, and it looks nothing like what you would expect.
Yeah, let alone the baby one that you see at the beginning when you first walk in. I mean, it just looks kind of like a weird secretary bird or something. It's really gangly, and the teeth are really small, and that sort of thing. So,
Chris, maybe you can walk us through how you're bringing this to life for museum visitors.
Yeah, so we have a multiplayer Vive Pro wireless experience. So you have 3 people coming in, being totally immersed in a 3D environment where you can move around, you're actually interacting with your hands and picking up bones, placing them together. And that's going to give you a very real sense of what it would be like. I mean, we can't all be like Mark, but you can be in virtual reality a little bit like Mark. But yes.
One of the things I think is neat about this is this seems like validation of the HTC Vive technology and virtual reality in general, because it's very easy for an outsider to say, well, this stuff is hard to use, people aren't going to be able to just pick it up and use it. But that's not your experience, right? People are picking it up and just falling right into it.
Yeah, it's simple enough, especially with wireless. You no longer have a cable, and you just basically just pick up with your hand and place the bone. It's as simple as that, almost like you're using a regular hand. And I think I give credit to Mark and the science visualization team at AMNH to really foresee this is kind of how I think visitors will want to be experiencing some of these exhibits in the future.
So how closely has HTC and the museum been working together to make some of this happen? I mean, this is realistic bones, right? It's just depictions of the actual fossil itself, right?
Yeah, that, and I think also just being able to visualize T-Rex as he or she forms, right? Just seeing the skeletal structure as well as the textures of the skin, how she animates around and interacts with the scene around her. And we do this is kind of state-of-the-art for us. We've done other museum exhibits with the Tate Modern in London, with Modigliani. We've done stuff with National Palace Museum in Taipei, and also Museum in DC. So it really spans the gamut of types of museums. And
yeah, it seems like this type of technology has really been taking off in museums around the world. I think that the American Museum of Natural History is kind of pioneering this in the U.S., right? I don't think there's as many of these types of exhibits here in the U.S.
Not really. I mean, actually, this is an experiment for us as well because we've never done one of these before. And I've been involved in some other VR projects in other fields, and it's always this give and take kind of thing. I mean, you have the VR experience, but then you got to find a way to make the VR experience have a story and it's going to be within the context of a museum to be in some way educational. So it's like, I think that, as an initial go and stuff, this has been, really successful. I was a little, dubious at first when I first seeing some of the demos and stuff over the last several months and everything that, I think it's great.
That's fair. That's fair. I personally came over here thinking, I wonder if very young children are going to be able to fall into it. And it seems like they're very able to. And I was thinking, I wonder if, there's some elderly people that are going to come to the museum for a good time. Are they going to be able to embrace this experience?
Yeah. Well, I think that's definitely true. I mean, certainly. I mean, that especially as the technology evolves more and more. I mean, going to like a wireless platform, and I'm sure that within the next 5 years, and even some of the things that you see at South by Southwest and everything, whether they have like the next generation is just going to be a lot more sophisticated and I think a lot more easy to integrate into the museum experience.
And Chris, can you tell us? So this is one of the first multiplayer experiences with VR as well, right? How has that transformed the experience that you've created here for museum goers?
Well, so we wanted to make it really fun and engaging and just give moments of delight to each museum goer because that's the challenge really is how are you going to keep people engaged? And with VR it's really easy to do so, but we wanted to make the mechanics fun. We wanted to make kind of the reveal really interesting and again inspire that moment of delight and awe, and you kind of see that in some of the reaction of people here today and what we expect for many guests to come. So it's been pretty exciting.
So when does the actual exhibit open up? We're here at a preview of the show, of course.
Yeah, it opens for members this coming weekend, but it'll be open to the general public a week from yesterday. So Monday, whatever date that is.
That should be March 11th. That is. I'm sorry. How much does the museum cost? I don't even remember.
I don't even know.
Doesn't even matter. It's great to come down here. So starting March 11th at the museum, the American Museum of Natural History, T-Rex, the ultimate predator. Thank you very much for talking with us.
Take care, man. Nice meeting you.
Pleasure talking with you, Chris. We're going to cut to a commercial, but we'll be right back with even more technology shortly. Thanks a lot.
Actually, we'll just come back straight to me. But thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. That was fascinating. I really want to try that out now. So I apparently have to get to New York. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in live wherever you're watching us. We really do appreciate it. Just a quick recap of what we've talked about on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. We, of course, had Adrian Warner in here in the beginning talking about the potential for new legislation that may bring back net neutrality, essentially. We've got a write-up about that at Digital Trends you can take a look at. Thanks to Jason Horton of the Ghost Town podcast for coming on here. We've had Joel Comm of the Bad Crypto podcast also joining us, talking about cryptocurrency and new devices that are going to incorporate blockchain and more security in them. And then, of course, Jeremy Kaplan there at the Museum of Natural History, talking about the T-Rex VR experience tomorrow on Digital Trends Live. We're going to be joined by Sue Kim, the CEO and co-founder of Brilliant. She's going to be on here with us. We've got Beverly Herzog from U.S. News and World Report. We've got Matt Smith, our computing editor, in here to talk about different aspects of computing, and we're going to be doing this all while we broadcast live. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. So hit that subscribe button wherever you're finding us. Join us every day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. I'm Greg Nibbler. So nice to be here with you every day. We'll be back tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.